Hi everyone, my name is Motolani Babalala and welcome to my space. So, let me tell you something. Your business already has a brand identity. You might just be managing it badly. Yes, I've said it. Oh, you thought it's until you take it seriously. That's when your business is already a brand. Okay, I'm breaking it to you now. Your business is already a brand and you are managing it badly because you're not taking it seriously. Anyways, I know in my previous video I had talked about the concept of branding and why it's important for businesses, especially small businesses, right? Small businesses will fortunately make a large chunk of the informal sector and contribute a huge chunk to the nation's GDP also. Why they need to take it seriously and why it's important they understand the basics of branding. So what I'm going to do today is to talk about the ABC of your brand identity, your brand, what you need to know in terms of your brand identity, in terms of how you should position your brand in the right way, right? So let's start with what a brand identity is. I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard of the word brand identity. In fact, some people will say, we have a brand identity package, and what the package just entails is maybe logo design or logo creation and all of that. But no, your brand identity goes beyond your logo, right? So see it this way. Who are you? I'm Motolani Babalala. What makes Motolani Babalala? Of course, my name number one, because that's my name, right? And when you say, Motolani Babalala, hey, I'm present, right? How I look. No two persons will look like how I look, right? So Motolani Babalala looks like this. How I sound. Even if voices might sound similar, there is a unique way Motolani Babalala sounds, such that even if you do not see me when I walk into a room and you hear, is that no more coming, right? So there's a way I sound, there's a way I speak, there are some gesticulations I make or some linguas that I use in my words, in my conversations. That is, this is very peculiar to, Motolani Babala. Like that classic trend that trended on Instagram or maybe TikTok for a while. We say, and so once said, and then you have people quote some of the things that the person is always saying or how they are always behaving. That's because they have an identity, right? So like I said, how I look, the facial structure, with or without makeup, there's a way I look. My name number one, right? How I represent myself, how I carry myself. Motolani Babala will never be caught doing what's if dancing makosa because she obviously cannot dance, right? So how I represent myself. What do you know about me? Oh yes, she speaks about branding, she talks about women. That's an identity already. That's all about. So it goes beyond even my logo, the Motolani Babalala brand. That's the logo, because it talks more about who I am, what I say, how I present myself, my voice. What do you hear? What's my tone? Do I sound serious? Do I sound funny? Am I comical? A Bovi, for instance, is a comical character. So his tone is what? Friendly, is inviting in the sense that it welcomes you into whatever story he's saying. It's comical, it makes you laugh, right? That's his identity. Now, the president of Nigeria, for instance, has a brand identity, and it's not a comical one. You have to take him seriously. If it's in front of your screen, it's serious business, right? So there's a tone, there is a feel to these brands. So I just use this scenario to just show you what a brand identity is. That a brand identity comprises a lot of things, right? So now for your own business, your brand identity, of course, comprises of your name. What's your name? What's the name of your brand, of your business? What does it mean? If you say XYZ Food Ventures, but then you are making clothes, how does it even align, right? And yes, brand can evolve. You start out doing something and then your brand has to evolve into something else or take some more services. Maybe that's a time to think about, okay, do I need a brand refresh? Do I go back to the drawing board to see how this will encapsulate the new face my brand is at, right? Anyway, so like I was saying, so that I do not divert, your name, the name of your brand, your logo, right? That's makes up your brand identity. Then the look and feel. The look and feel means what are the colors associated with your brand? What are the elements associated with your brand? Oh, when you see the Motolani Babalala logo, you see there's a red. Sometimes you use, blue. So the primary color for Motolani Babalala is what? Red. White, of course, is a neutral color. It's also part of the brand. But you want to associate these colors with my brand. So for your own brand, what are your colors and why do you choose them? For if you go online and you even just research the psychology of colors, you see what different colors represent, or the said effects it's supposed to have on people. Why some people would always just wear black, because black just seems powerful, right? But if you say your brand is into food and then your logo is just combination of black and very dark colors, is there an alignment? Is food supposed to make you feel powerful? No. So it's not about what you feel, it's how your brand should actually look, right? Those colors, the color palettes, your designers, your creative designers, they'll tell you that the color palettes represent different undertones for your brand. So what colors do you want associated with your brand? Oh, yellow means confidence, can mean strong confidence. Is that what your brand is really about? So yes, your color. And then don't come looking like a rainbow, because you cannot decide what color to use for your brand. Today you are red, the next day you are black, another day you are blue. It then brings me to the third, or is it the fourth thing? Consistency. Consistency in the look and feel of your brand. Consistency in how your brand shows up. Today you cannot be sounding like someone else. Your brand cannot be representing this, and then another day we are confused. We don't even know what's your brand. What do you do again? What do you do again? Remind me. Is this brand not? Sometimes you see someone and say, please remind me, what does this brand do again? Right? So consistency, this also makes up your brand identity in the way you present your brand. And I'm saying the way you present your brand because yes, while your brand is like a non-living or living thing, there is a face behind the brand, or a push, a driver of the brand who is responsible for the brand. So yes, so I've talked about your logo, your name, number one, your brand name, your logo, the look and feel of your brand, which of course the look would have to do with the colors associated with your brand. What else again? I talked about the tone of voice. Tone of voice was when I talked about how do you sound. I gave the example of Bovi is a comical character, of course, so his tone of voice is going to be comical, witty, sarcastic. But then you have other brands that are serious, inspiring, assuring. Oh, is it confident? Oh, the Motolani Babalala brand, warmth, inspiring, teachable, or should I say no, teaching, say maybe personal, sharing stories and all of that. So you have also the tone of voice for your brand. And maybe we should use an example of a brand. I always use this brand, and that's Nike, the brand Nike. So for Nike, what would you say is the tone of voice for Nike? Nike, the footwear, the Nike brand. You said the Nike brand tone of voice would be what? Powerful, strong, motivational, inspiring, and it shows in even their communications, how they present themselves online. You can do it. That's the payoff, right? Empowering athletes, because of course they have a big goal that they have to achieve, or a record to break, but you can do it. And with these Nike shoes, you can shoot for the stars, you can run to the stars. Yeah, but so for your brand, what's the tone of voice? What's the tone of voice for your brand? How do you want to sound like? How should you sound like for your brand? Remember that you are also different from your brand. So if your brand is solving a solution, which I'm sure you should already know what solution your brand is offering, what should your brand sound like? And that makes up your brand identity, really. Now, in very, very serious atmosphere, a business will even have a brand identity guide, or a brand guideline, or a brand book. So that brand book then details, this is the Motolani Babalala brand. Why? What's the story behind the Motolani Babalala brand? It shows it, it says it. a very simple and concise format. And the brand book will then also have my logo. Say, oh, this is how I represent myself. Because if I am not there, I want someone to see this and tie it to the Motolani Babalala brand. So there's a logo. And you see the colors, the color palettes. Oh, for the Motolani Babalala brand, there is, the red. I know there are different shades of these colors, but you see the color palette: red, the beige, white, and then blue, right? So how do I appear? Even my font type, the font I use, if I write, you want to associate it with my brand. Then I'm saying the tone of voice. How do I want to be perceived or received, right? All of this will be detailed in a brand book. So you can take a step further and just, have a brand book. Another interesting thing you should take note of when it comes to branding and branding for your business is that it doesn't have to be perfect, especially for small businesses where you're trying to juggle a lot of things. Of course, it's important to get an expert to, do certain things. For instance, if you want to design your logo, get someone that can actually design your logo based on the story you share about your brand or what your brand is, right? You're able to distill that into an artistic and in a creative way. But beyond that, you might not get everything right from the onset. So branding is not perfection. Branding does not say come out and be perfect. In fact, branding is being authentic. If you start out as a food business, let me just say this. I started out a food business and all I'm doing is I'm making small packs of food for maybe healthy food for people to eat from time to time, right? I provide that. And when I'm going to do a brand look and feel for that brand, of course, the color, the name, and all of that will reflect that. Then with time, after some years, maybe 1 year, 2 years, I see there is more I want to take on. This food business, this healthy food brand has gone beyond just even a healthy food brand to becoming a healthy lifestyle brand. Now I may be introducing a fitness community, doing all of that stuff. There is even a healthy drink or healthy drink corner, because brands evolve. What happens now? I'm thinking, oh, when I started out, it was most food. But now it goes beyond most food now. What happens? Is branding saying, oh, it has to be perfect. You started out as most food, you have to continue that way. No, your story now has, changed or has taken a different turn. How do you represent that? You can go back to the drawing board to change things. So branding doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, what I would say is that you just have to be consistent, because branding just puts a guide to what you're doing so that you're not doing things haphazardly. You're not coming out looking like someone else or because you feel like. So consistency over perfection for branding, really. And that's one thing you should take note of. How you show up, show off, how you represent your brand has to be consistent. How you sound like, how you look. You can't be looking this way today and be looking at that. When I say you, I mean your brand, please, your business. So it has to be consistent. How you make me feel when I come in contact with your brand here, I should also feel that same way when I come in contact with your brand somewhere else. And that is why people will say, even as much as the people that work for you should be able to represent what your brand is. Even if you have one person on your team or two persons, or it's just you, it means that what you say, what you put out there, you will need to embody it, right? And also consistency over perfection. Your brand can always evolve. Things can change after some time, right? Just wanted to also put that out there. You see big brands, they rebrand after some time, and there's a real reason for it. So branding allows consistency over perfection. Just to add again that why consistency matters over perfection is because, branding again is packaging. Packaging what is authentic, by the way, is what I always preach. Trust is an important element in our space, or even in life. It's not just in Nigeria. People want to do business with people that they trust, or at least to a certain level. You buy a toothpaste brand because you believe that it actually keeps your gum healthy, You're not just buying it for buying sake. Nobody spends money for spending sake. You eat because apart from being hungry, or even when you're not hungry, you believe that it nourishes your body. So you buy food from a brand that you know does only that and is not deterring your health or is not causing harm to your health. So people trust a brand. If I buy food from this brand, it's because I want to believe that this brand is nourishing my body, not that I'm going to fall sick from eating the food. So trust is an important element, and consistency helps you build that trust, where the way you look or the way you present your brand across different, I'll say, touch points, or across different places where people engage with your brand is the same. You're not a chameleon, right, where you fluctuate. Your brand is the same, it's consistent, and it's able to build that trust in the minds of your customers. That's very, very important. Now that we've talked about some basics, of branding, I would want to close out with a few things that I know some people believe. They hold it tightly to their chest, and I'll say I want to dispel some myths, wrong things that people believe about branding. Number one, that it's only businesses that have money that should bother with branding. That's not true. I think some of even the things I'll be saying in this part would reflect some of the things I had mentioned earlier. Which is, number one, you say, oh, branding is just for big businesses. Okay, I was about to speak Yoruba, but let me speak Yoruba. Entolo, don't share branding, don't share look and feel, packaging and all of that. But that's not true. It's not just big businesses that, take branding seriously. Small businesses can take branding seriously. And branding doesn't have to be expensive. Like I said, you can start small. Start small and just continue. Just know what your why is. Branding is important because it is that anchor to what your brand story is, even the profit-making idea you have or profit-making tactics that you have for your brand. It anchors all of this. It holds it together, right? That's number one. So branding is not just for big brands or big businesses or businesses that have money. That's when you've arrived. That is when you now do branding. No, start now. It's never too late to start, and you can still go back to the drawing board to look at things. Number two will be, branding is just about having a logo and a branding. I think I've said enough on that. Your brand is not just your logo, right? Branding is not just about having a logo, your brand name. There are a lot of other things that inform branding for your business. So it goes beyond your logo. And it goes beyond having a signage in front of your office or your station. So branding goes beyond just your logo. That's number two error in thinking that people might have. Number three would also be that branding does not allow me evolve. Branding means that I cannot change. Branding means that I have to be restricted. Like I said, branding means, yes, you have to be consistent. But when your brand story, or if you need to take your brand to a new level, or there's a new path, a new path, I would say, for your brand, your story has then evolved. Branding evolves with your brand. Your branding does not constrict you or restrict you. It doesn't restrict your business. It just creates a guide for you, such that when you want to pivot, or when you want to take on more, or when your story changes, it goes with a flow, and your customers are carried along on that journey. Nobody is caught off guard, and that is why consistency will always be preached. But branding doesn't restrict you. It doesn't mean that you cannot evolve as a brand if you take branding seriously. That's one other myth. I think that's three. I'm going to address 5. The fourth one, I think, would be the biggest of them all, is that branding has nothing to do with your profits. Branding has everything to do with your profits. Right now, you say, oh, I'm doing well already. My business is doing well. I'm making sales. I'm making profits. Why do I need to take branding seriously? Let me just tell you. The simple reason is you can 10x that. You can 3x it. You can 5x it. Your profits or your revenue can increase at a very, very impressive rate once branding comes into play, because it means you are reaching newer people. You're convincing more people to do business with you, And you also need to get trust from people to do even more with you. The last on my list for today, is that it's time for a brand refresh, because I don't just like how this looks again. I'm bored. I'm tired of how the logo of my brand looks. Oh, I'm tired of this color. Branding is not about how you feel. You behind the brand, no, it's not about how you feel, but what is best for your business, right? That's what is most important. So you do not rebrand because you just feel like it. You rebrand because you have business reasons. You have you make a case for it. It's what is best for your business, not what you think is best for you, right? Because you separate yourself from your business. So you don't just rebrand because you're tired of how your logo looks, or you're already tired of, I'm a very dynamic person. This my logo looks, I'm tired of it. No, it's not what you think. It is what is best for your brand. So yes, branding is very important to your business as a business owner, a business founder, a business lead. Branding is important. It's not just for small businesses. Every business is already a brand, so you should take it seriously. The earlier the better. Take branding for your business seriously and watch your business grow in leaps and bounds. Until next time, bye.